Let's talk about cosplay. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Or you're like, meh, maybe cosplay yourself? Well, I want to talk about my experience with cosplay and also share with you something pretty cool that I've been working on. Greetings, people of the internet. I'm Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. Welcome, mad creators, to the underground laboratory where we create robots, aliens, zombies, and other imminent threats to humanity. And I have taken all those things and I have created these avatar packs out of them. Maybe you've seen them. I've done the robots, the aliens, the zombies. I've done all of those, but I've got a new one that I'm working on. It is a cosplay avatar builder, a female cosplay avatar builder, and I'm pretty sure I'll get around to doing a male one eventually. But in sort of the spirit of letting you guys know about this new product that I've got, I thought I'd talk a little bit about cosplay. I'm sort of, I don't know if I've ever technically cosplayed as the definition as far as gone to conventions, dressed up and everything, but I've always been a big fan of Halloween and dressing up and going to like masquerade things and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of the same thing, isn't it? But I want to talk about all that and some of the cool costumes and kind of how I grew up and my parents, you know, kind of made some really cool stuff and how that kind of translated, or I think evolved into what is cosplay today. So I want to talk about that, plus some opinions, different opinions people have about cosplay, especially how it pertains to comic conventions. So we're going to talk about that, but first, like I said, I want to talk about this new avatar builder pack. So basically, just to give you the idea of what it's all about, if you all know about creating avatars for whatever your Facebook or whatever social media you have, or whatever you want to do with your avatar, I thought it would be cool to do something a little fun and make one that you could actually dress up like sort of like a cosplayer. And like I said, this is the female version. I will have a male one coming up. Well, whenever I finish it, I guess. I'm kind of in the middle of it right now. But so I want to show you how that works and how you can kind of use it for whatever your own projects or just to kind of represent yourself on social media. So let's talk about cosplay. But first, let me show you this product that I'm working on. Alright, this is what you're going to see when you first open the file. This is the Adobe Illustrator version. Now, this is my biggest avatar set to date. It's the Female Cosplay Avatar Builder, over 950 costume accessories combined to create unlimited combinations. Up at the top, I've got a workspace where you can build your characters. And let me kind of go through this and show you everything that it comes with. 70 heads in different styles and colors, 238 eyes, 35 eyebrows, 18 mouths, 126 noses, 224 ears, 112 hairstyles, and 131 awesome accessories. How cool is that? Here's where the fun begins. Let's start building some avatars. So I'm going to pick this one. It's sort of the middle range skin tone. Just drop that in the workspace right there. And let's see. So we're going to pick some eyes. How about maybe some green eyes here? We'll pick those. And we're going to drag that up, and we're going to just drop that in the workspace. Now you can use the workspace, or you can put it on a separate sheet. Wherever you want to create avatar is fine. That's all up to you. Now eyebrows really add a lot of expression, so we definitely want to get some eyebrows. How about these ones right here? Kind of some nice rounded ones. We're going to bring that back up to the workspace. Let's see if we can enlarge that so you can see it a little better. We'll drop those in there just above the eyes, and you can move those independently if you want to tilt an eyebrow up to give it sort of a sneer or whatever. You can do that. And let's see let's get some kind of I don't know, these smaller kind of puckered lips, and we'll bring those back up. We'll drop that on our face there, and again, just kind of move that into position wherever you like. Well, I mean, typically kind of goes into where our mouth usually goes, I guess. So here we go. We're going to grab a nose and just pop that where a nose would go right here, like that. And make sure you're using the same skin tone. And now we're going to get some ears, and I think I want to get some elf ears. We'll grab that sort of middle skin tone again. We'll drop that in there. And these you can move independently of each other, and depending on where the hair is, we may adjust those a little more so they pop out from the hair. So yeah, speaking of hair, let's find out what kind of hairstyle we want to use. There's a lot to choose from, different styles, different colors, but how about, I don't know, I like this sort of green hair. I know it's kind of like a Pippi Longstocking style, so in green, of course. So we're going to drop that in there. I like that, but like I said, I want the ears to pop out a little more, so I'm gonna adjust the ears here. That's a little better. All right, so it's starting to look like an avatar, but we need something else, a little extra. So we're gonna go to our accessories. A lot of fun stuff here, but I like this little panda hat. So I'm gonna pick up the panda hat, I'm gonna drop it in on top of our avatar. And that's where it kind of comes into the whole cosplay vibe that we're trying to get here with these avatars. Isn't that fun? I'm digging it. In addition to the Adobe Illustrator file, I also have a Photoshop version, and it works kind of the same. They're all in layers, all the different things are in layers. You can kind of toggle those on and off. They're all smart objects. Now the file can get a little big, so it might make sense to save a separate file as a raster. And but yeah, again, just the same thing, but with Photoshop. I've also taken the liberty of creating a black and white line art file, so if you want to do something that's like one color like a t-shirt, you can do that. As fun as it is to just create all kinds of crazy cosplay avatars, there's some real-world applications here for your designs. If you're looking for a kind of geeky style aesthetic, these work great. Maybe you want to create a really fun UI or UX design, or maybe you're an Etsy seller. You can make stickers, sell them on Etsy, or whatever you want. With so many different accessories, the possibilities are practically endless, so get this pack and get your cosplay on today. So thanks for checking out my latest avatar pack, but I want to talk a little bit about cosplay, and while I do that, I want to kind of show some pictures. Now, some of these are older photographs from when I was a kid, or me and my brother and my family, and then later on we'll kind of get into some of the costumes I made later on in life, or for my kids and stuff like that, But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to talk about cosplay, or just costuming in general, what kind of eventually became cosplay. So I was very fortunate growing up. My parents were very encouraging as far as like Halloween, and they would make really cool costumes. Some of the stuff you're seeing now is just stuff we would dress up, me and my brother, just for fun, as Kiss was a big thing. We were always into Kiss. But yeah, so my parents would make costumes, and a lot of times it was of things that they didn't really make costumes of. It seems like now they make costumes for just about everything. Well, I shouldn't say that, because there's some crazy cosplay stuff, but like a lot of stuff you see in the store. Like, for instance, this is my brother as a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. At that time, there were only maybe like 4 or 5 Ninja Turtle comics out. There was no cartoon, no nothing. No one knew who he was or what he was. So it may look a little silly back then, but you have to consider that was totally homemade. They didn't make Ninja Turtle costumes. Again, it's hard to believe there was a time where they didn't have Ninja Turtles everything, but my brother was real big in the comic book, and so my parents, to the best of their ability, created this costume, and then he would go to door and like, what are you, a frog? And then and then 2 or 3 years later, everyone was a Ninja Turtle. So we were kind of a little ahead of the game. But Star Wars was a big thing. This was my favorite costume, I think, that my parents made for me, was the Tusken Raider, and I'll show you why. Because they built my mom and dad. My dad would kind of construct the stuff, and my mom would sew everything. So together they kind of built these costumes. But this is me in a bantha. Here's another picture you could see. And what they did was my legs were inside the bantha, and I had fake legs on the outside, so it was really cool. And that particular costume, I would go to like costume contests, and that year I think I won a bike with that costume. Now, I don't know how much money my parents sunk into that. It might have been the price of a bike. That tends to be kind of the way it goes. But yeah, then we would go to costume contests, and one year I won a stereo, or like Toys R Us gift cards, RIP Toys R Us. But yeah, all that stuff. Boba Fett, that one was another cool one that my parents made. Again, the Yoda one, there was no Yoda mask. This was before they actually made a Yoda mask. Or maybe they did, and maybe my parents just didn't like it, so they wanted to make a better one. That was my brother. But so my parents, they really went all out, and again, I think I was unfortunate to kind of grow up with that environment. So because of that, I became, I just loved Halloween. It's like my favorite holiday, and to this day, I'll make haunted houses, and I do, costumes. Now we're getting into a little more current. These are still a little old, but me as an adult, my brother, and everything. But because of that, my love of Halloween, I kind of wanted to pay that forward as I got older and had my kids of my own. I wanted to do the same thing for my kids. So So I started designing costumes and everything for them based on kind of what they were into, and it was. I hope I didn't really force it on them, because I think in some ways I look at it, I think maybe it was a little more for me. But like, so here's one I did for my son, General Grievous, and that one took a while to go. I was pretty happy with the way that came out. My other son is Kit Fisto, and these are of course from the Star Wars prequels. When they were growing up, they were big into the prequels and all that stuff. So I made the costumes for them, and it was fun kind of getting to do that. And I think at this point, this is when cosplay started to become a bigger thing as far as conventions and everything. And what was really interesting is, I mean, for anyone that's cosplaying now, what's so cool is there's communities online and all this stuff where you can go and you can research how to do everything, and people will share the different techniques and different, like, materials and foams and all that kind of stuff. And when I was growing up, there was none of that. So my parents kind of had to figure all this stuff just by looking at photographs. Well, what does this look like? Like, I remember the Boba Fett rocket backpack. It was two like little plastic canister. Part of it was two plastic canisters of like Yoplait yogurt stuck end to end, and then they would build other things. So just whatever they could find, like the gaffy stick from the Tusken Raiders was part of the little toilet bobber thing in the back. I mean, it was kind of interesting. And I kind of kept up that tradition to a certain extent. And that's kind of how, if you watch the making of like Star Wars, that's how they built like the ships and the costumes. People actually go and they look for all the different things. Like somebody said the Boba Fett costume, it was like a dental extender is kind of the firing mechanism or something on the wrist, on the gauntlets of Boba Fett, and like it was a scuba backpack and all that stuff. So they would just go out and find that stuff, and so that's what you would do. You try to find, well, what does this look like? How can I closely, replicate this? But now with the internet, you can find the actual, or you can at least learn what the actual pieces are and hopefully track that stuff down and kind of build that stuff. I've seen things where people kind of recreate the Millennium Falcon, and they go in and find all this stuff, or this is a hubcap from that, or whatever. And it's just really interesting. So, but again, I wanted to kind of do the same thing for my kids. So, here's, Robin and Yu-Gi-Oh! And everything. So, I really got into that, and I took my kids to some contests too. But by that time, cosplay was so big. It's like, when I was growing up, I think it's almost like when you're an artist, and if you're a pretty decent artist, maybe you're like the best artist in your class or your grade or whatever, and then you think you're a big deal, and then when you go off to like art school or then you realize, wow, I'm just like everyone else. Or everyone, there's people that are way better than me and all this stuff. But it's kind of like that with I think the cosplaying, because like I said, we would win costumes, and my parents would make these costumes for us. But now when you see all these cosplayers and just these huge communities, it's like I can't like hold a candle. I mean, I think I can make a decent costume, but I can't hold a candle to some of the stuff these people are making. It's just really incredible. So as you can see right there, before that, I was still into Kiss. So that's a costume I wear all the time. I put some time into that. So that's kind of one of my standbys, was the Gene Simmons. And some of these are a little dated, like Borat and everything, but at the time they're kind of the popular thing. But anyway, so yeah, I really had that love for costuming and Halloween and everything, and just going to different parties and dressing up, and I still love to do that. I haven't really put too much time into a costume lately, but now my kids are a little older, that they're not really dressing up as much, or they try to do their own. So I really like to get back into it. But I also wanted to talk about cosplay and how it relates to just conventions in general, because I think there's some differing opinions about that. I love it. I just love just checking out all the cosplayers and stuff when I'm exhibiting. This is one of my favorites, by the way. This is I did this con costume. I never wore it to a convention, although this would be perfect for a convention. But I always wear, my lab coat and everything, so I don't really get to cosplay at conventions. But like I said, talking about conventions, there's some people that just think that the cosplay like either takes away from sales and everything, and I don't know if I agree with that. There are some issues sometimes with cosplayers. Like I know I exhibited one time. I exhibited next to a vendor who designed like costume pieces and everything, and they had like one of their like people dressed up in a costume that kind of showed all their stuff. Really cool costume. And because of that, everyone wanted to come and get pictures, but they were kind of on a corner, and they could have easily, like, he could have been in front of their booth, but they were kind of off to the side by ours, and it was, just people would gather and it kind of blocked the booth. So I would just kind of like kindly ask them to could you kind of move your cosplayer over in front of your own booth, and they're happy to oblige and everything like that. So yeah, that things like that can become an issue, but really, I mean, it's bringing a whole lot more people, I think, to the conventions, and I think that increased sales and stuff like that. And anytime you've got fandoms and everything, I know people that they'll go and they'll buy fan art of their own character that they cosplay at. So these people are out there spending money too. So I don't really see that taken away from sales. And I noticed the last convention I did, Phoenix Comic Con, they had decided to move all the cosplay up to another area upstairs away from the main hall. And it kind of, I just didn't see all the cool costumes, and it kind of bummed me out a little bit. And because of that, a lot of those people, I don't think they came down to the main floor, and it seemed like, and definitely attendance was down. And I assume, even with the cosplayers upstairs or whatever, they still count, obviously they count that as attendees and everything. So I think it was down overall, but it was just a different vibe not having those cosplayers there. So, and I know there's been articles written in the past about how they think that's a changing landscape, and the cosplayers and the autograph seekers kind of take away from what Comic Cons are about. But I don't know. I don't really agree with that, and partially it's again because of my love of just dressing up and cosplay and all that stuff. I just really like to check out all the costumes and stuff. So that stuff doesn't bother me at the least. And I think it's definitely a huge part of the comic convention scene. And I'm more than happy to see all that. And so yeah. Again, just a big fan. So I just wanted to share some of my memories of cosplay and some of my thoughts about conventions and cosplay and all that stuff. But what are you guys' thoughts on all this stuff? Okay, so there you go. Those are some of my thoughts on cosplay. And once again, the Female Cosplayer Avatar Builder is available now. If you want to get that, you can get it from Creative Market. I will leave a link in the description. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I've had so much fun just in building all the little samples and everything to show what this thing does. It's just really fun creating all this stuff. So I think you guys might have fun with it too if you want to check that out and use it. Once you get that, you have the license for it, so you can do for whatever your own personal projects or whatever. But yeah, it's kind of a cool thing. So link in the description for that. And what do you guys think about cosplay? Let me know in the comment section, and I will see you guys later. That is all. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me here in the Art Lab. There's a lot of other great content on the channel, so click that subscribe button and you won't miss a thing. If you're an aspiring evil genius, visit Serkworks.com for all your mad science supply needs. And if you want to contact me, hit me up in the comments section or follow me on social media. I'm looking forward to it. I'll see you then.